While the Chronicles of Narnia never really took the strides it could have, the one thing you cannot deny that it was excellent in its casting decisions. And there's nowhere that's more prevalent than its supporting characters in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. A young James McAvoy, Tilda Swinton. You'd have to work incredibly hard to even come close to these iconic roles. And although the movie didn't really live up to their performances, you can't deny they were great in the roles. Somehow, today I'm going to try and recast these characters and look at them hopefully in a new light. And since Netflix is working on a new series for Narnia, or at least we think they are at this point, let's take a look at who could play these roles. Today we're casting Aslan, Mr. Tumnus, Diggory Kirk, and the White Witch. So let's recast Narnia for today. First up, let's do Aslan. Of course, Aslan being a godlike figure, his voice and presence needs to stand above everything else. Now, Liam Neeson originally took on this role, and although I do like him in the role, his voice to me feels a little less lion-like, even though it leans very well into the godlike state. Don't get me wrong, it's still great, but I think we can bridge that gap a little bit more. Now, I do want someone who has that voice that booms, something that commands attention, maybe a little bit of a lower octave than Neeson, so when he's standing in crowds, you can really feel the force of it, but we definitely need that regal nature and that presence. Now, I end up landing on Idris Elba, which I feel is enough of a divergent from Liam Neeson, because if it feels too similar, it won't be right. But his voice is iconic. And honestly, in my opinion, an underutilized voice. Don't get me wrong, he was amazing in Jungle Book, but he definitely goes for more of that menacing tone. But just listen to this man talk.
Mowgli? They've given it a name. When was it we came to adopt man into the jungle?
He's just a cub.
Does my face not remind you of what a grown man can do?
That low octave, that tone. Give this man the right dialogue, and he'll sound like a god. So Idris Elba as Aslan. Next up, we have Mr. Tumnus. Now, he's a lovely, warm, gentle fawn, and really just a good soul. Of course, he has his issues with the White Witch and some questions of loyalty in the beginning, but James McAvoy, in one of the first times I've ever seen him on screen, just stands out so wonderfully. What could have bled into creepy just feels right and warm. Now, for Mr. Tumnus, it's important that we have that friendly nature, but that vibe of uncertainty. Someone who feels like they're sweet, but is hiding something. Now, I really want an actor who is on the shorter side, because when they attach those prosthetics, we really don't want to rely on CGI. I think it worked well with James McAvoy, who's 5'7", but I do think it would help casting a shorter actor, just like the Hobbits in Forced Perspective. Now, I think with this casting, I really struggled with it, because for some reason, every time I saw a well-known actor, they didn't feel right. Every face that would normally fit just seemed wrong, so I ended up going less typical, less famous, and someone I think would just blend into the role more so, and really own this as the character. That's why I ended up on Nathan McMillan, who's been around and of course has been in a lot, but he's more of that guy kind of actor. He's best known for his time in Misfits, where he isn't exactly Mr. Tumnus, but you can see how he'd work.
That is good toast.
It's all about the butter distribution. I hate these tossers. You just stick a big lump of butter in the middle. Now what did you think the knife's for? Right there. Yeah, needs to get it right to the edges.
He's 5'3", which works beautifully in my opinion, and his smiling face and hair just kind of makes me picture him as a fawn. I think he could take this and run with it, definitely bleed into the sweet nature, and really come out with an amazing performance. So Nathan McMullen as Mr. Tumnus. Next up, let's do Diggory Kirk. Yes, doesn't have a big role in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but he's an important name and really an important figure within the series. I do think we need that level of magic here and a genuine kiddish nature, which feels right when he's talking to the kids in his house. Now, I love Jim Broadbent here. I think he's really perfect, and that's why I end up going with a similar nature in Stephen Fry, who in Sandman is exactly what I want for this role. The playfulness, the warm tone, but also that little feeling of that he's not opening up and telling the full truth. He has this way about him that he's kind of holding a surprise in.
When a human is at the center of the dreaming, is it not to remind us that we exist because humans dream, not the other way round? The miracle of humanity itself should always be more vivid to us than any marvels of power.
I think it works beautifully. So Stephen Fry is Diggory Kirk. Lastly, we have one of the biggest to cast for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The White Witch is someone I think of more than even the children when I think of the first book of Narnia. Tilda Swinton has this way about her, which is really hard to duplicate. She needs to be a lot of things. And beyond any of those things, we need a powerhouse actress. Someone who has that gravitas and that feeling where you just can't look away. Now, I think Nicole Kidman would work really well here, and honestly, there's really no argument about her not getting this role. but Cate Blanchett narrowly beats her because honestly, look at her. Her time as Galadriel in Lord of the Rings, but even in her quieter projects, she's someone that you're just glued to on screen. She's absolutely wonderful in Tar, and she has that gravitas even in the most simple of scenes. I think she could take the White Witch and elevate it, really turn into something interesting, maybe give it a choir performance that's a little bit more nuanced, but I would really love to see her in this role.
I know what it is you saw. For it is also in my mind. It is what will come to pass if you should fail.
So Cate Blanchett is the White Witch. So there are my castings for the supporting characters of Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe. I'll be moving on to Prince Caspian next, as well as the Dawn Treader, but let me know if you'd like me to continue on from there. As always though, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.